Hello, hello. Good morning. Welcome to a Wednesday, October 29th episode of the TMI show, the Ted Manila Information Show. TMI for short, obviously, because we bring you way too much information. I'm Manila Chan. That is not the Ted. Ted, I think, is he got a cheap vacation rate to Jamaica. So he's en route there. Is that too soon? I'm sorry. I don't even know if there's people that died from this historic Robby. Obviously, that's producer Robby. I don't know if there are any people that have died from this historic Cat 5 Hurricane Melissa that hit Jamaica yesterday. I think they said it was like the biggest hurricane in almost 200 years since they've been recording. So I actually don't know. So maybe that was in poor taste, my sense of humor, but Ted would like that. So I think he got a really cheap deal for a Jamaica vacay, and he took off. But he'll be back tomorrow. And Robby, there are viewers that want to hear your side of the story about what all went down. So in lieu of Aquiles having to drop out last minute because something came up, he had an emergency situation come up. We'll see if we can fill some of that time, if you can fill in the details.
Sure.
The viewers do want to know what all went down. But on today's show, we'll discuss some of the other topics too that are making news. So it's not weird news today. Unfortunately, there's actual news happening today. So not a whole lot of weirdness. But we normally do a lot of weirdness Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So please be sure to hit the like, the follow, the subscribe, and the share button wherever you're consuming this content. So before we get to the stories, Robby, can you, Fraz over in the Rumble room wants to know, Fraz actually, I assume Fraz is a he. I don't know why, I think it's a he, but I think he's got a theory that he thinks the person that doxed you is actually a YouTube worker.
I honestly don't know. I don't know who it was or what it was. One thing I do want to check, because after I got home yesterday, I saw where Ted had some trouble with the ads. So I want to see if I can replicate what he did if we have a moment. Now that we're live. Because how he was saying that he had to do a video.
Yes. We're going to test live.
Oh yeah.
Right now.
Hey, listen, I'm going to show y'all how the sausage is made. So let's go ahead and see this. I'm going to see just what he's talking about. Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, I have no idea what Ted was looking at, because there is an option where you can pre-upload a video, but you don't have to. There's an accept and start there at the bottom right corner. So let's see what happens if I click this. Yeah, no, I think Ted was just drunk yesterday. You've probably noticed Rumble is growing fast, not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium, an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform. No pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content you've come for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos. We're going to have some of that today, by the way. Behind-the-scenes drops, more of that today, and more from your favorite creators like me and Manila. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. Just go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout. That's rumble.com/premium, promo code STUDIO. No ads, more freedom, and content you actually care about. That's the deal. Yeah, I have no idea what Ted was looking at yesterday, but that was not it. I don't know.
Okay, so there's no video roll ad.
No, you can make one and you can upload it and then you can play it. So I think he was clicking on the wrong button. He is French and he's old. So you got to kind of just.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to try to do the Rumble room tomorrow.
Yep.
And try not to create 5 of them. So I'm going to try that tomorrow. So we do have Robby today to catch people up to speed in case they missed mine and Ted's rant yesterday about what happened. Was that presumably a viewer from Deprogram on the YouTube platform hated Robby so much that they decided they wanted to dox him and track down his employer in Montana and wrote a nasty email about him being a Nazi, being a white supremacist and whatever, trying to get him fired from his job, and that he was, like cheating company hours. That's what they were aiming for, to get him out, right? Cheating company hours, because he's actually doing this. He's talking on air as if he's, a regular co-host, which you guys all know he isn't. But that's what they were hinging that on. And as we pointed out yesterday, that Robby's work from home privileges were taken away because of that, but not fired. So the doxer, sorry if you were trying to get that to happen.
I fully suspect. I fully expect that is eventually going to happen. To say that I am on a very short leash is a understatement. So,
okay.
I mean,
it
wasn't a coup de grace. Like, no, they took a shot at the king, and they didn't get a head wound, but they definitely got me in the shoulder. So,
okay. Are you mortally wounded? We don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah, there's a lot of chatter in the Rumble room suspecting, like, they are trying to figure out who in the YouTube world, because the Rumble world is very different than the YouTube world, and the viewers there are I would say mostly two very different types of people. And if this person's sharing the YouTube link to your boss, presumably they view deprogram on YouTube, and those people, as we know, love censorship.
Oh yeah.
The viewers, the company Alphabet that owns YouTube, they love censorship. You can't talk about Israel. You can't talk about the vaccine. You can't talk about whatever. You can't, a myriad of things. You got to say you love the rainbow flag. You got to say, there's a lot of things that are not okay to talk about on YouTube. And the viewers that, if you're watching on YouTube, more than likely you agree with that type of censorship. More than likely. I'm not saying everybody, but more than likely. So we assume that much. That's as much as we know.
I don't think so. I think that probably what's going on here, and I'm going to try to qualify my argument just a little bit. So, for example, the problem with our politics is that it's so fractionalized. It's all factions. Either you got to be on my team, or you have to be on the other guy's team. Either you agree with me, or you're an enemy. It's not a matter of being an opponent. And
sure,
if you play in that particular sandbox, the one thing that you don't want to have happen is someone from the other team making common cause with someone on your team. Because if that happens, then that means that you're influencing each other. That you realize that there actually is this thing called the middle, where you can be a right winger like me and say, guys are not allowed to go into a woman's bathroom.
I live in the middle.
And we can still, and we can agree on the big things, like how about no foreign wars? How about we don't go bomb, Iran? How about we don't start a war in Venezuela? Those are big things we can agree on, while disagreeing about if there's a such thing as a trans woman or a trans man, or about gun control versus abortion. Those are important issues, but they're not the most important issues. And so if you have someone and they're just an ideologue, you can't have that kind of conversation. You've got to kill it in the crib. So that's all this is, in my opinion, because Ted has changed my mind on things. And I know that I've changed Ted's mind on things. And if you play team politics, you can't have that. It's kind of like the Officer Tatum over there on Twitter, who's going epileptic because Tucker Carlson, who is a right winger like I am, some Israeli cuck. He's an American. He's a black dude as a cop, and
Tatum.
Yeah, Tatum, and he's just a wholly owned subsidiary of BB Incorporated.
Oh,
and so he hates Tucker Carlson because Tucker Carlson's like, why are we fighting Israel's wars? So the right has the same kind of litmus test that the left has, and so I think that's probably more what this is. I think it's just someone who's just like, I cannot allow this right winger to be polluting the pool on my side. Robby jumped into our leftist pool and peed in it, and we can't have that.
Oh, I see. Okay. So they're like, you're tainting.
I'm tainting the pool.
Left.
Yeah, I'm making Ted a traitor, and people on the right, for example, that like that.
You're making him gay.
Yeah, well, it's just like people on the right. They say, well, maybe, but we need universal health care. This is something that we need to have. Well, then at that point, I'm called a communist. So on the left, I'm called a Nazi. On the right, I'm called a communist. It's like, can you people at least make up your decision about what kind of authoritarian I am while I'm advocating for free speech?
Right. Okay. But, right. They can't. Unless they regularly listen to TMI. I mean, I don't think you go on regularly at Deprogram, but you pop on regularly for TMI for bits and pieces, and sometimes to co-host. But that's if one of us is out. But unless they've been listening to TMI for a long time, they would know that it's really kind of, you don't actually fit into Trump world. You're certainly not a Democrat, but you have some things that you are quite progressive and socialist on, and then there are other things that you are very hard right Christian conservative on. So unless they listen regularly, they won't know that. And if they tuned into that one episode that they shared, and they insist that you're, this white Nazi, racist, Nazi supremacist, they would not know that you have a black wife. They would not know that you have mixed race children, that you like, they just wouldn't know. They wouldn't know if they listened that one time. And then they're like, this Nazi's peeing in our socialist pool. Like that's Antifa him. So that's kind of, I think that's somebody that's angry, but it's quite possible that Fraz in the Rumble Room might have a point, that there's somebody on the inside at YouTube, because I personally, and I'll put on my tinfoil hat for this Wednesday thing. The amount of reach of, think of this as like during the Cold War in Germany, right? There are unlimited numbers of people that are working covertly behind enemy or friendly lines even, right? Mm-hmm. There are people that work for YouTube or big tech or some subsidiary that's like not necessarily like a black or white hat hacking group, but as working as like media monitors. Because Facebook has those people, right? Facebook,
sure,
they've told us that they have media minders that look at posts and stuff, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's very possible that to Fraz's point, it's very possible that YouTube, they already flagged the TMI show by virtue of who Ted and I are, right? Like, so they already flagged our channel. They know, right? So it's very possible that YouTube has like a show minder that watches anything attached to Ted, anything attached to John Kiriakou. And we know the state doesn't like John Kiriakou. They put him away in prison for it. So,
well, here's the thing. In the year that we've been doing this show, how many times have I said it's not a matter of if, but when the dox happens?
Yeah,
because everyone knows it's going to happen.
YouTube Kansas, YouTube in particular, not Rumble. I don't think Rumble. I think Rumble's true to their mission statement, but YouTube, it's a matter of time before YouTube shit Kansas. It's just.
Oh, I completely agree, and I mean, to answer your question, I think that's really where this stuff goes. Is just the one thing. If you're an authoritarian. And there's authoritarians in the Republican and the Democratic Party. They want to control that power dynamic. The one thing that you cannot have happen is that people on the left and the people on the right look across the street at each other and realize, you're not my enemy. My enemy is the dude over there in that suit. That's my enemy. I mean, here's a good example for this. Like right now, if you go over there on X or on Instagram or somewhere else, you start looking about how the EBT cards will be getting shut down on Saturday if something doesn't happen because there's no money for it. Okay, fine. So then if you have people on the right, like me, asking, well, why is it that we can't feed American citizens, but we're able to bomb Venezuelan fishing ships? To me, that's a problem. Or there's no money to feed the hungry Americans, but we're able to fund a genocide in Gaza, which, by the way, has resumed this morning. Or we can fund a war in Ukraine against the Russians. There's money for that.
Unlimited funds for that.
But you can't help your own people.
Correct.
That's what they don't
want.
That's what they don't want to have happen. So instead, what you got to do is that you have to demonize me because I say that a dude cannot be a woman because you can't, and a woman cannot be a man. There's two genders and an unlimited number of mental illnesses. If you point that out, then automatically that means I'm a Nazi. I'm your enemy, and you have to destroy me, even though we agree on the bigger topics.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about. And to answer Fraz's question, I don't know. I can't prove this. I can't be specific, but no, Montana is a big state, but there's only a few different hospitals. So most likely what happened is that whoever it is that did this, they emailed the 4 hospital chains that are here in Montana saying, hey, here's what's going on, because you're going to get one of them. So I think that's what happened.
So it wasn't hard. So it wasn't hard, is your point, is for them to just send out 4 emails.
No, well, like, for example, there in Northern Virginia where you live, how many hospitals are there?
Oh God. I mean, there's 4 within 5 miles of me.
There is one in 140 miles of where I am. So it's not hard.
One within 140 miles?
Yeah, this is Montana. It's a very large state with a very small population. It's a very rural place. So that's what I'm saying, is that people don't understand. People on the West Coast and the East Coast, y'all are so isolated. Y'all are so insulated, right? Y'all think that everything's just all just kind of just built up, just piled in together in these big urban centers. Whereas if you go out in flyover country, especially in a big Western state like where I am, it's not hard.
I've not been to states like that. Like I've even been to like Utah, not the whole state, but I've been to like a couple cities in Utah, and they're pretty built up. So I just, it's hard for me to imagine one hospital within a 200-mile radius. Like that
is it.
Crazy.
There's like 7 or 8 walk-in clinics, and it's in one hospital. Like the next closest hospital, the next closest hospital to where I am is in Missoula.
Wow.
Which is 120 miles south of where I am.
Wow. So it wasn't hard for them to just email 4 hospitals.
No, it's super easy to do, right? And then the fact that you have different hospitals, what they do is that they go in, they do mergers and this kind of thing. And
all right, so then it becomes owned by 1 or 2 corporations.
Right. And so they're all woke. That's what they do. And so then what you do is that you just try to go in and say, oh, it's just like when I talk to the HR person. It's like, well, you're violating our social media clause. I was like, really? Which one is that? Please show me what social media platform Rumble Studio or StreamYard is on. Show me.
That you're using.
I'll wait. Show me in your handbook. So me being the cantankerous bastard that I am, I have no problem dancing right on back. I have no problem, fighting the good fight. Even if I know I'm going to lose, I'll still fight you. But in this case,
you'd rather fight than live on your knees, as I think most of the people, especially if you're in the Rumble side.
Oh yeah, for sure. But in this case, though, I was holding nation
on their feet
because I have this thing called the employee handbook, and so in the employee handbook, it says that you can't be on X and you can't be on YouTube and you can't be scrolling and stuff like that. Great. I'm not doing any of that stuff.
You're not doing any of this. Yeah.
I'm sitting here. I'm talking to people.
And you're on.
Or I'm
and the only
on,
software
on,
you're
on,
using
on the back
is
end,
maybe StreamYard.
And I'm still doing my job.
I'm still
doing my job. And more to the point, while I'm doing the producer duties, I'm still doing my day job at the same exact time, outperforming those bunch of old saggy bag hags working the office, and I'm outperforming them while I'm multitasking.
Right.
So they can suck an egg.
And so that's basically, long story short, is why you're not fired and that they took your your work from home privileges away. So,
I'm on what they call a performance plan, which is probation. I'm on a final warning. When I was at the office yesterday, for example, if I had to go to the bathroom, I had to sign out and then sign back in. So, I mean,
wait, is that a clock in or?
Oh no, it was like you have a log where you have to sign out whenever you leave your cubicle, and then
from your program. Your work. Okay.
Yeah, from my work cubicle. So I mean, they're just really just dialing this. I mean, they are really pushing this good and hard. And the probationary period lasts for a year. Of course, it impacts everything. And so all it's going to take at this point is for there to be a complaint. Say, oh, Robby bullied me, or Robby made me feel uncomfortable, or Robby
which you get all the time because you won't recognize men and women's bathrooms or whatever.
Well, no, I mean, listen, I work in healthcare. That means biology is a thing.
I agree with you. You've had 2 sensitivity trainings, though, Robby,
I have.
In the past 9 months.
I have, and when I was going through, and I was sitting with the HR rep, we were talking yesterday, with me as the HR rep, the department head, the department director, and HR. So it's these 5 women and then me. So they're trying to intimidate me. And when I looked at my manager, I said, okay, so here's what you need to understand. I said, people think that you are a strong female leader because you're a raging bitch. That does not make you a strong leader. I said, being a strong leader means that you are able to remove obstacles from your staff so that way they can unleash their talents and do what they need to do better. You're incapable of doing this. You have no bench. Once my immediate supervisor goes away, there's no one else with the institutional experience to do what I do. So once you get me out, you have no one to replace either one of us. And then my boss is like, are you saying I'm stupid? I said, no, ma'am, I'm denying that you have any intelligence at all. So when people think whenever people on the show, they ask, hey, is Robby putting on an act? Is Robby putting on a show? Let me assure you, what you see is what you get. I'm too stupid to have 2 faces.
No, it's this horrifying because I have caught him. We weren't rolling live, but the cameras are on. And I have caught Robby talking to said boss. So this is not an act. This is real Robby.
I mean, I do not play this game.
So yes. So this is the real deal. That's who he is. And okay, so that's the thing. We don't want to get you fired. You're the only one between the 4 of us. We add John to the mix now. Between the 4 of us, you're the only one that's employed. So we don't want you to lose your job.
Well, it's going to happen. There's no way that it can't. I mean, honestly, and I'm not saying to be fatalistic. If you ever read the Bible, if you read the book of Daniel, I can't remember what the name of the last Babylonian king was. It was Nebuchadnezzar's son. They're having a banquet, and have you ever heard that saying, the writings on the wall?
Yes, of course.
So I can't remember what the name of the Babylonian king was. But anyway, they're having this party, and this hand is writing on the wall saying, tonight your life will be required of thee. Tonight thy kingdom will be taken from thee. I mean, it was just, it was the hand of God himself writing on this wall. I see the writing on the wall. It's going to happen. There's no way that it can't happen. That being said, I have something that I'm able to fall back on. One, I've got good friends. I've got you. I've got Ted. I've got the people who are watching the show. I've got John Kariaku. I have technical skills where I'm able to kind of just, I've got the side hustle I'm building. Worst comes to worst, I'll just work on making that thing go more full time and make myself dox proof. I've also got my Rumble channel. And for those of you who are watching Rumble, seriously, even if y'all aren't gamers, if y'all just follow me on Putin by Gaming and just let the videos run, periodically, the watch hours, they pay a lot. It makes a difference.
Yeah, it really does help. So
in case that does happen. I mean, seriously, but I mean, this is what the people, it's like Mark Levin, he would call me a member of the woke right. I'm not the woke right. He is. He's the woke right. And what the playbook is from establishment Republicans and establishment Democrats, both of them, is they can't win the argument, so they try to silence you.
Yes.
I will not be silenced. I don't know, even if I don't know where my next meal is coming from, I will proudly get up there and I will piss on the tranny flag. I will tell you to eat a dick. I will not be quiet. I will not sit down. I will say that Israel is an apartheid state, because it is. I will say America first is a thing, because the American government should be looking up for the American people, not playing global policeman.
Agreed. You will, and this is the one thing, folks, that I've tried to teach Robby in the years that I've known him, is you can espouse your beliefs, but there's a
price to be paid.
Elevated, and no, I'm saying I espouse my beliefs, but there's a way to do it without being inflammatory and putting yourself in danger. And now that, of course, comes from, my decades of being on radio and television, that you learn verbal gymnastics about how to say things without getting yourself into legal trouble, without getting yourself into, FCC trouble, there's verbal gymnastics, right?
Yeah, well,
you're straight shooter, and you just want to say those things. So,
well, the thing is, I'm not going to tap dance. Here's the problem, and Angela's making a good question. She asked, "Won't they know you're not sick if you're on the show?" I'm sure they're watching right now. I'm sure my boss right now is watching. I'm sure she's having a seizure right now because I called her stupid on the internet on the live stream. Because
you didn't name her, so that's
well, no, because I'm not a doxer, but she knows who I am. She knows that she's retarded, and I will tell her to your face, "You're retarded," because I told you that in the fucking meeting.
I've heard him say this, guys. So I've caught him on the phone, pacing around on the phone, and I'm like, oh, I'm mortified. I've caught him more than once doing this. So I turn the StreamYard on it. I'm like, oh my God, who's Robby yelling at? And it's fucking mortifying. And I keep trying to coach him on, decorum, but it hasn't worked. So here's where we're at. So
here's the issue.
We should get to the news, though. We should get to the news.
No, we will. So let me say this real quick, and then we'll go. And then we'll go.
But he actually is sick. For the record, he says he's got a head cold because it's like 20 degrees.
Yeah, I have a cold. I mean, I'm fine. The problem that the people in the West have politically, corporately, and I mean this in Europe or in America, is that too many people.
Western corporate culture.
Well, just West corporately, just Western Europe, Central Western Europe, America, Canada, is that people are too afraid to say the things that what they need to say. People are terrified of being called racist or an anti-Semite or
whatever.
Whatever. You cannot win that kind of an argument with any kind of polite conversation. You can't. You have to push back. So take a page out of Robby's playbook right now. If someone calls you a Nazi, say, "Okay, and what's your argument?" I'm serious.
Well, that word Nazi doesn't mean anything anymore. It really doesn't.
Yeah, let's do the news and save Robby from himself, is what the well-dressed nerd says. So let's go and go to the news.
Yes.
Yes,
that word really doesn't mean anything. In 2025, and as Fernie's yelling back there, the word Nazi or the term white supremacist doesn't mean anything anymore in 2025. It's just a term now. It doesn't mean anything anymore. It's all the value from that has been taken away because people have overused it and applied it to every conversation that they want to, plug their ears to. They're just like, shut up, Nazi, shut up, racist, shut up, white supremacist.
It's like Germany.
Have any value?
Well, it's like Germany. I mean, German culture is 2,000 years old, but they're judged for 13 years, and they're expected to commit national suicide.
Really that old?
Yeah, they destroyed the Romans. I mean,
really?
the Germans have been. The Germans are a thing.
I didn't know they were that old. I knew at least 1,000, but not 2,000.
Yeah, I mean they are. Oh yeah, it's an ancient, powerful. It's a glorious civilization. The same thing can be said of, of the French and the British and the Greeks. You don't have to. You don't have to let people keep shaming you because of your history. Don't take it back. That's what I'm saying. And the time for moderation is over. It's time for the populist right, the populist left to come to have a common cause, join together,
Okay.
and that's what it's going to take. And the way that you do it is through crowdfunding. Support the people, the content creators that you like. Is if you don't, they're going to get doxxed and they'll get destroyed.
Yes.
If you like the content, support it.
Yes, just like my YouTube channel that was more than a decade old was just ripped away from me for no reason. Like and they claimed I broke terms of service, and they never stated how. YouTube just canceled my channel.
Or which ones?
Or what content? Or nope, no explanation. So I'm sure one of the media minders saw to it that I shouldn't make any money from my work. So there's that. Anyway, okay, so yes, we'll get to the news. Speaking of far right, so let's go. All right, first things first, though, the breaking news overnight was obviously over in the Middle East. President Trump says this U.S. brokered ceasefire in Gaza is remaining in place, even as Israeli forces have carried out airstrikes and insist they retain the right to strike back, because they say Hamas attacked them first. If attacked, 104 people were reportedly killed, maybe perhaps more. Now, speaking on Air Force One, because you guys know he's in Asia right now, President Trump declared the truce was still intact and said, quote, "Nothing is going to jeopardize the agreement." At the same time, he affirmed Israel's right to retaliate, saying, quote, "So the Israelis hit back, and they should hit back." The statement came after the Israeli military confirmed one of its soldiers had been killed in southern Gaza. Israeli warplanes responded with strikes that killed immediately in that first strike 26 Palestinian, presumably civilians, according to Gaza health officials. Among the casualties, 5 people in one home. So these are civilians, 5 people in one home, hit in the Borij refugee camp, because it's like shooting fish in a barrel. 4 in a building in Gaza City, Sabra area, and 5 in a car in Khan Yunis. Israel says the strikes were launched after an alleged ceasefire violation by Hamas in Rafah, though Hamas denies that they did that. The ceasefire, as you guys probably know, took place October 10th, so it's supposedly ongoing for the past 19 days, ending more than 2 years of conflict. So for now, this delicate, I don't know why we call it a ceasefire, because it hasn't, the firing hasn't ceased. But there's been a volley of exchange here and there. But Robby, the thing is, there has been no proof that's been provided by the Israeli side to justify this strike by saying, here's the intelligence we have that it was definitely Hamas that killed our guy. There are multiple, for a lack of better term or a lack of better description, just like any other culture, country, whatever, right? Like county, you go to Los Angeles County, it ain't all Bloods, it ain't all Crips. There's MS-13, there's, the Mexican mafia. There's all kinds of gangs in Los Angeles, right? So if you're going to say, oh, we have a ceasefire, let's say San Diego and LA have a ceasefire, and then somebody pops off from Los Angeles into San Diego. Well, San Diego can't go bombing randomly into Los Angeles and say, oh, well, the Crips did it, so now we're going to bomb everybody.
Well, San Diego can if it's supported by the American government.
But that's my point. My point is, how do we know it was even Hamas? They haven't provided any proof. There are multiple gangs and militias there. Hamas has had fractured groups break off from them for many years. There are other people that are vying for power because a power vacuum is being created right now as we speak, and it's been ongoing. Then you have, the Palestinian Authority, who's like weak and feckless, who is owned by Israel in the West Bank. They have their own power vacuum because Mahmoud Abbas is like 1,000 years old, right? He's like as old as Moses. So he's like, there are power vacuums. Israel has not provided proof for the multiple times that they have supposedly struck back. They keep blaming Hamas, but there's been no evidence that it was Hamas, is my point.
Well, the thing, I got to be careful about how I say this because we're on YouTube. Let me just kind of coach it this way. After the American Civil War, there was a guerrilla movement that was being used because the South was being occupied, and people who are not affiliated with the Confederate Army, who did not like the idea of being occupied, were hunting down and killing people wearing blue coats.
Okay.
If I was in Gaza today, and if I had access to a rifle, and if I was being occupied by a power that has destroyed my home, has probably killed a significant number of my family members, I could see myself, with the temperament that I have, going out looking for a little bit of justice before they got me too.
Sure. Because it was just one soldier, one Israeli soldier that died. So for all we know, it's like one angry, grieving uncle. For all we know.
Well, also, we know for a fact that last week the Israelis got killed by the RPG. That wasn't fired by the Palestinians. That was an Israeli dud that went off when their Bradley ran it over. So it wasn't even the Palestinians. It was unexploded Israeli ordnance that killed Israelis. So that's Hamas's fault. But also, though, if you have the whole idea that every Palestinian in Gaza is Hamas, looking at you, right, Mark Levin, because that's what you say. Well, if everyone is Hamas,
right,
then there you go. And I do not see that this is going to hold. I think it's going to continue. I think the genocide is going to start up again, because the Israelis who are protesting, let's be honest, they were not protesting the genocide. They were protesting the hostages being held. They have their hostages back.
Correct.
So now the hostages are back.
Well, not all of them. I think there's like a dozen of them, of bodies, hostage bodies.
Yeah, they're dead though. Those are hostages. Those are corpses.
But they got humans back, alive humans.
Yeah,
they got their humans back.
Yeah, the hostages have been released. I mean, if you're dead, I can't hurt you anymore. You're already dead.
I know.
And so I think what's going to happen is that this is going to go on. Israel is just going to continue with the genocide, and Trump is just going to keep. He's just going to give them a pass. He's going to let them do their.
And to Adrian's point in the Rumble Room, crickets from the Gulf states, all the Abraham Accord states, crickets, of course. So that's this to me. I know it's a PR win for Hamas, but physically and tangibly speaking, this is a no win for the Palestinians, because this will continue and the civilian population will get pummeled, and there is nobody that's going to back them up at the end of the day. Unfortunately, that's the reality. How do you operate from within that frame, that the rules on this board, right? Like this chessboard, like this. Israel's got all the cards. They've got all the big backers. They've got, even though the rest of the world at the UN is like, oh, free Palestine or whatever, what are they all doing to help? Well, so to me, it means jack shit unless you're actually going to step up and do something. And nobody, including the Gulf states, and that's exactly to Adrian's point, even the Gulf states who claim to be Muslim brethren, the brethren aren't stepping in. So what good is it?
So that's going to be the real question, right? I mean, ultimately, it's going to come down to, will the world allow Israel to commit a genocide, or will it not? if the world allows Israel to commit a genocide, they're going to do it collectively because they are afraid of being called a bad word. That goes to my point.
And this is where Ted and I differ is I believe the rest of the world will say free Palestine and then not really
do nothing.
They're going to be keyboard warriors. Ted believes that because they're starting to speak up but speaking up and saying one thing, and unless they're not even dropping sanctions on Bibi himself. You have the power to actually, as a state, like if you're Canada, right, and you're Mark Carney, and you represent the country, the sovereign nation of Canada, and you're at the UN, and you're saying we believe in a two-state solution. We believe in a free Palestine. We back the Palestinian cause. Or if you're Emmanuel Macron and you're saying the same thing, but then not one sanction gets dropped. Forget sanctions on the Knesset. Forget one sanction on Benjamin Netanyahu to say Benjamin Netanyahu cannot shop at our Costco when you come to the United Nations. You can't shop at Costco. They did that to the Iranians. Americans did that, right? Why can't the Canadians say, you can't, Benjamin Netanyahu, when you come to Canada, you cannot buy food and drink at Timmy Hortons. You can't come here. They're not even doing that. So to me, it's all fucking talk. Like
they don't want to. They're too afraid of being called a bad word.
Correct.
That's really.
So that's why it means nothing to me that all. So Ted, and I think this is inherent to Ted being a socialist, is that he's very hopeful about humanity. Where I'm more of like a David Hume fan, right? Where I'm like, no, humans are fucking ugly and horrible creatures, and we've like trained out, like that's who we are at the core, and through civilization we have become civilized to not beat and brute and kill each other at every waking moment, right? That's what David Hume says, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously it's philosophy, but that's what David Hume says. Socialists, by virtue of being socialists, believe that humans will do all the right things and want to help each other and kumbaya community, we're going to do the right thing, and people are not going to be drunk with power. So Ted, operating from a socialist standpoint, thinks that because people speak up and say, oh, free Palestine, that this is the first shoe to drop and the next shoe is going to drop. Not me. I believe y'all are talk, your bullshit walks, and nobody is actually going to make any moves to do anything to protect Palestine. This is the status quo. End of the day, Israel is a developed nation. No one's going to take that away from the Jews. No, it's just not going to happen. It's a technology hub. It's Mossad is way too advanced and entrenched in too many countries. None of that is going to happen. It's unrealistic. So they need to operate, in my opinion, they need to operate based on those facts on the ground on how to move forward with Gaza. Because this bullshit of, oh, we're gonna back Palestine. Okay, how? In what way?
Well, here's where I think
how are you doing it?
Here's where I think is where you're wrong at. For one, when from a geographic standpoint, Israel has no natural resources of its own. So it's not like Japan in that way. It has nothing of its own. It has a population of 9 million people. The problem is that while yes, it is true that the Israeli lobby controls the West right now, they are losing a huge amount of support with the next generation of voters.
Oh, I agree. For sure.
That's going to be the thing. So the more that Israel continues doing this, the more that Israel continues blasting people, and even younger Christians are starting to wake up to the idea that dispensationalism is a false doctrine and a heresy. And the fact that you have the big shots like Tucker Carlson, they're actually going out on live and say, hey, this is wrong. That's the fear factor. That's why Benjamin Netanyahu is pushing so hard for TikTok, for example, to be taken over by Zionists, by the Ellison family. Correct. It's because he knows that the next generation is the problem.
Yeah, of course.
And so again, it kind of goes back to this whole populist wave. Yeah, people on the right who are like me saying, why is it that we're supporting all these endless wars whenever we have veterans living under every bridge? Yeah, people on the left saying, why are we not able to feed our own people while we're supporting all these endless wars? That's where that uniting is going to come from. I think what you're going to see come the next election cycle for the presidential election, that's why you're going to see J.D. Vance. I think that Israel for him is going to be a massive liability. And that's why the Democrats can't field a candidate, because people are waking up to the fact that the American political system is wholly owned by this little pathetic pissant country. And people are waking up to it. And people in Europe wake up to the same thing. Trump could end this today. He could he could cut off Israel's EBT card. I mean, literally, he could do it. He could cut off Israel's EBT card.
I have hope for peace. I obviously but my fundamental belief is that through the millennias of cultural existence and with my Eastern Asian cultural roots going back thousands and thousands of years, I believe the true heart of man, and we will see this come November 1st, come November 5th, after the EBT cards. Speaking of, once those cards get rejected and they're dead and they're empty, we will see the true face of mankind is that we are ugly and life is short and brute and ugly, and people are going to be fighting for food. People are going to be looting and doing some nasty shit if they can't put food on the table in the next week. And we're about to see that. And I think that's David Hume will be proven right. And we have, through years and years and millennia of cultivating civil society, we've kind of bred out the way we have with cats, right? Cats come from like lions and tigers, right? Like that's who their forefathers are, right? But they've been bred through millennia and millennia down into being a domestic creature that you can hug and pet and keep on your lap. And oh, they're so cute. They're playing with their little, like the stick that has the little string and the ball at the end. Or oh, they're so cute. But you leave them alone long enough, like when Gene Hackman and his wife died, their cats and dogs started gnawing away at some shit on bodies and the other dog that died, and they return to their primal instinct. And I think the human primal instinct is to each his own. They got to live. They're going to figure out how to survive. And if it means cutting you, or like the movie Alive, the soccer players that crashed into the Andes, start eating each other's butts, that's you resort to what you need to resort to. And I think that's what we're going to see coming through from humanity. That's why I don't have much hope for, I would like to see it come for Palestine, but I don't have much hope for it for that reason, because I don't believe humanity has evolved past our primal instinct.
Well, of course not. I mean, we're fallen people, and we're all sinners. But that being said, the people in the West, we kind of look at everything in terms of World War II, where you have total victory, where you just completely destroy
annihilation.
Your
enemies. Right.
Wars of annihilation like that are the exception. They're not the rule. Very seldom does that happen. War is nothing more than politics by other means, is what how von Clausewitz said, and he's right. The Palestinian objective is to get the establishment of a Palestinian state. Well, you cannot do that unless Israel overreacts and overplays his hand. If you're going to have an insurgency like this, it's going to take decades. That's how what the Taliban said. The Americans have decades, the Americans have the clocks, but we have all the time.
We have the time, yeah.
That's what it is with the Palestinians are. That's what Hamas is doing. Every time that Israel goes through and blows up 100 kids,
I know.
Every time that goes out, then what that does is that makes people in the West who are funding this, because keep in mind, Israel is a first world nation because it is literally a parasite on the backside of the West. It cannot do this on its own. It doesn't have the population. It doesn't have the resources. It has nothing.
Yeah.
It exists wholly as
artificial. It's artificial
as a creature of Europe and North America.
Yeah. It's an artificial place, like Dubai.
Correct.
It's artificial.
So what's going to happen is that as the boomers die out and as the next generation comes in, you are going to see Israel is going to be looked on the way that South Africa is right now, or how Nazi Germany was looked at. That's what the Palestinians are playing at. They're not looking at solving this next year. They're not looking at solving this 2 years from now.
Maybe you're right.
I guarantee you they're looking 10 years ahead.
I'm not sure we'll see it in our lifetimes, maybe in our children's, but I don't foresee any of these states that were speaking up at the UN a few weeks ago that
Not yet.
got up and walked out when Bibi took the stage. They got up and walked out. Well, what's that do? Does that feed any Palestinian child? Does that stop any bomb from falling on their homes and not a home, their tent at their refugee camp? Your fucking walkout means dick. That's what it is. It means dick. So,
it's virtue signaling. That's all that is.
It's your virtue signal as a diplomat. That's your way of like being like, look, I support Palestine. Okay, what are you doing to support them? Your walkout doesn't do anything. That's my point. But Ted is referring to 30 years from now when we're not here anymore, 40 years from now, 50 years from now, who knows, right?
I think it'll be 10. I think it'll be. I think that
you think it'll be our lifetime.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, the average age of the boomers is what now? 70. They're dying off. The next generation's coming up, and you got to remember, people in our generation, we can't buy houses. Our jobs are being hollowed out. The economy is being destroyed. Our kids are going to have for the first time ever, the generation that's coming after us actually is going to have a lower standard of living than the generation that preceded them.
Z will.
Correct.
Alpha, we don't know yet.
Well, we guarantee it's going to get worse because
Alpha is my son's generation.
There's no work, right? And so what's going to happen?
We don't know what that's going to look like.
Is that people are going to start looking around, asking questions, and they're going to start saying, "Why is it that our government?" It's kind of like this. You're a mother. How would your son feel if you never fed him and just always screamed at him and told him he was stupid, while you went across the street to your neighbor's house and took him Christmas presents and told him how great he was? Your kid's going to realize that you hate him. Yeah. So think about this. You treat your own kid like crap, but you go across the street and then you start treating your neighbor's kid like he's the best thing ever. Your kid's going to grow up to not only resent you, but it's probably going to end up hating you.
Of course.
That's the American electorate right now. Our government is going all around the world telling these other countries, "Oh, we love you. We're going to support you. We got to defend your borders." Meanwhile, over here, we have 100,000 people dying of fentanyl every year, and people can't afford houses. People are getting pissed.
Yeah. So Gen Z is pissed. So obviously, maybe if we live past 70, God willing, maybe we might see a little bit of traction, in Palestine. I'm not betting on it, is my thing. I'm not betting. Ted has gone like whole hog on saying that he thinks the state of Israel will no longer exist. I don't think that. I think maybe 2-state solution at best. I don't think the state of Israel, will go back from whence it came, where it was created in the 40s and now it's, by the 2040s it's going to be uncreated. I don't foresee that. So
I think that right now you're starting to see how Thomas Massey, he's pushing these bills saying that if you have dual citizenship, you can't serve in Congress. And then
I think that's fine.
Oh, I completely agree. And now you have people who are saying and now you're starting to have people on the right and the left. Like the fact that I agree with Cenk Uygur on anything is insane.
Yeah.
But him and Tucker Carlson and me all agree where if you serve in the military of a foreign nation, like the governor of Pennsylvania did, you should lose your American citizenship. Matter of fact, I would take a step further. If you serve in a foreign military, not only should you lose your citizenship, you should be deported. I guarantee you.
What if you're an immigrant, legal immigrant who once served in a foreign military when you were young, and then you came here when you're old?
Well, it's different because you served in your country, and then you came over here and you immigrated. I'm talking about you're an American citizen. You're born here. Josh Shapiro, isn't that his name? The governor of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
That cocksucking bastard was born here in this country.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Israel, served in its military.
Did he serve in the IDF?
He did. He's an IDF. He's an IDF veteran. He comes back here,
did not know
joins the Democratic Party, and now he's the governor of Pennsylvania, and he's eyeing a run for the presidency.
Oh, I can see where that.
How does that happen?
Yeah. I can see where that's. I wouldn't be okay with that either. Like
no,
that's different.
Talk about dual loyalty. There you go. You can't serve two masters.
Yeah. I can see where that's not okay. Well, okay. One last quick topic. We won't stay on this too long, because it's technically not done yet. We're gonna go into Europe. Now in the Netherlands, voters are at the polls right now in a national election that many are calling a barometer for the future of European populism and possibly a turning point for how far the far right can go. Ahead of today's vote, more than 13 million Dutch people are casting ballots for the 150-seat House of Representatives. At the heart of the drama, Geert Wilders, and his Party for Freedom, which in Dutch translates to, they call it PVV, the firebrand far-right group known for its anti-immigration, anti-Islam, and nationalist messaging. Just 2 years ago, Wilders shocked Europe by finishing first in the 23 election and entering government. But the coalition collapsed this summer amid fighting and his apparently very extremist agenda. This time around, the PVV still leading in the polls at this moment as I speak, but its advantage has shrunk significantly. Analysts estimate the party could win only around 24 to 28 seats, down from the 37 that they got in 2023. Rivals, including centrists, Greens, and Christian Democrats, are all within striking distance. Crucially, major parties such as the People's Party for Freedom and Democracy, they go by VVD, and the Christian Democratic Appeal. Oh, this one makes sense for us, for English speakers. Christian Democratic Appeal, CDA, so those initials make sense, have publicly ruled out any coalition with Wilders unless he secures a landslide, leaving him politically isolated, even if he comes out on top. For many voters, the real issue isn't about ideology, but everyday pressures. A widespread housing shortage. I didn't know that they were having a housing shortage over in the Netherlands. Slow economic growth. I knew that. And frustration over government instability. One center-right leader asked plainly, can we beat populism? That's a question reflecting wider unease across Europe, where nationalistic parties are dominating headlines but often struggle to govern effectively. If Wilders fails to build a majority, the Netherlands could veer backwards more towards their more traditional, broad-based coalition politics, but a strong showing by the PVV, even without full power, would signal that the far right remains a potent force in European politics. The Dutch election may not just decide who governs the Netherlands. It could reveal whether the wave of populism sweeping across Europe has any momentum or if it's run its course. Robby, I think populism is just growing. And I don't know about the Netherlands. I think for them, if it's because he is the incumbent and people are angry about, like I said, housing. I didn't know that they had a housing shortage. but that's also on the heels of like COVID. That it's a worldwide, like, well, at least in the Western world, there's been a shortage of housing overall because there was a disruption in the supply chain during COVID. So Geert, with his crazy big, Albert Einstein hair, got elected to office in 23, just as we were coming out of COVID. They've been trying to fix the housing stuff or whatever. And so he was kind of like, he was their Trump, right? He was the Netherlands fuck you vote, right? They went with him. It's only been 2 years. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I'm a fan of his or even that I'm deeply, steeped in Netherlands politics. Although I do know that, do you know this, Robby? Theoretically, you don't even have to be a citizen of the Netherlands. You don't have to be Dutch. You can go pay like a couple $100 to the federal government and create your own party, no matter who you are, from anywhere. So I had joked a couple of times with some of my friends that, hey, we should just go pay. It's like creating like an LLC, basically. It's the equivalent of that, like in America. You can fly over to the Netherlands, register what we would call an LLC. Over there, you register your political party, you pay a few $100, and boom, you've got yourself an actual party. And then you can do what a party does. Like, they have no rules over in the Netherlands, have no rules about citizenship or where you get your funding or nothing. There's like loopholes. I looked this all up and I was like, this is insane. And I went down that rabbit hole and I thought, I could literally go over there right now and run for parliament in the Netherlands. Me as an American citizen, having nothing to do with the Netherlands, just go run for office. And legally, I can. So Geert was kind of the fuck you to all of that. 2 years later, here we are. And he's lost a couple. He's shedding a few votes. I'm no big fan of his. I don't, I'm kind of neutral, but I don't think for the Netherlands, I don't know. That's their own thing. I think what we're seeing with populism, like in the UK, populism, like, okay, I take that back. England, separately in Ireland, so across the greater UK. I think Germany, AfD, right? I think we're seeing a stronger showing for right-wing populism than a weakening. And I think there are a lot of forces that want to return to status quo for obvious reasons.
Well, the thing about the Dutch is that most people don't realize this. The entire country is basically like New Orleans. It's almost all of it's below sea level. So that's factor number one. So they don't have a whole lot of land to begin with. Second, their population, y'all in the chat, y'all can verify this for me. I want to say their population has almost doubled over the last 10 to 15 years, mostly because of immigration. And a lot of it is Islamic immigration. So that's why he was going on, just push, Geert was going just ham on Muslim immigration, because it's a very tiny country. Most of it's below sea level. Available housing is going to immigrants. So the native population is being left holding the bag here. And so the entire situation is untenable. It would be like if you brought in, I say, a million Syrians and you just dropped them right in the middle of New Orleans. How will that affect the city? I mean, literally, geographically, most of the country is below sea level. So they just can't go build more houses. So if you import, 50% more people, and then you start wondering why you have a housing shortage, well, there's your sign. I mean, you just imported, about half of your population. They don't speak your language. They don't have a shared culture. And so people, being the tribal creatures that we are, the domestic population is just like, well, if resources are finite, and if I can't afford to live here, why is it that my government is then bringing all these people in to replace me? Because that's what's happening. Let's be honest here. And so that's where you have Geert Wilders come in. Now, the reason why Geert there is taking his lumps if you get on X and if you follow the Dutch, parties that are right wing, that are populist, that oppose them, they're not mad at him about being anti-immigration. That makes sense. They all are. The problem is that he's bankrolled by Israel. That's why. Like, he is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Israeli lobby. They fund him. They prop him up.
Well, obviously, his PVV group is very anti-Islamic. And I'm reading in the Rumble chat, like Mr. Lee is saying, there's a lot of Turks there, and most Turks are Muslim. And I think a lot of other brown Middle Eastern people are going there, I think, to the Netherlands. So that's why the rise of the PVV party, their position is anti-Islamic, like they're anti-Muslim.
Well, they also want to be able to have a house.
Well, that too. I mean, if you don't have enough housing.
Well, I mean, you physically can't. I mean, the country's very small, and more. I want to say it was like 70% that's below sea level. I mean, where are you going to get more land to build houses? Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's famous for its dikes. That's why they build them. Yeah, it's because the country's built on a swamp.
70%? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's huge.
I didn't know it was that much.
Yeah, it's like all landfill. They used to go through, they build the dikes and just try to. But the North Sea's like right there. Geography is a thing. And so, if you want to, I don't know, get married and have kids, you gotta have a place to get married and live and have those kids.
They aren't doing them. And this is a fact of any ethnic or religious group. If you can lump them together, like more than 50% of Arabs tend to be Muslim, right? That's safe to say. Like the vast majority. There are a lot of Christians and smaller other random whatever religions,
but the vast majority, they are a minority to the extreme,
right? Arabs tend to be Muslim, and if we lump the two together and we conflate the two on purpose, Arab Muslims are the fastest breeding ethnic group on the world. They're having the most babies. They're having families, not the American ones, but the ones elsewhere. Especially in the Middle East, they are having between 4 and 6 kids on average. At least.
Yeah, they're waging war through demographics. I mean, that's what it is.
They're just making babies. And I don't think in the Netherlands that they're pacing 1 to 2 per couple, if that, in the Netherlands. So the population birth. So they're getting outbirthed. And from what I'm reading of our European viewers, Mr. Lee out in Asia, a lot of viewers that are out in Europe, they're saying, that these are the people that are emigrating to traditionally white Western countries, is Muslim populations. Yep. And that's all the anger that you see in England with the Tommy Robinson types and the millions of people marching with him. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of angry white people.
Well, I mean, white people can be tolerant until they're not, and that's the problem, right? I mean, once you get to the point where, if you start looking at, it's kind of like the analogy again with the kids. If you start importing an entire other group of people that don't have shared values, a shared language, a shared culture, shared religion, nothing in common with each other, and then you give these people welfare benefits, you give them houses, they start breeding like rabbits. Meanwhile, you can barely afford to have a crappy apartment, much less ever having a house and having kids of your own, while wages are depressed by immigration. It pisses people off. And then what happens when people get pissed off?
That's what propelled Wilders into office in 23, was that kind of anger.
Yeah, of course.
That's what did it.
And what my concern is, and I mean this sincerely, because I'm not a racist. I promise you I'm not. I mean, there's no problem with a multiracial society, but multicultural societies do not work because one culture will always dominate the other one. What's going to happen is that eventually, when people have had enough, people get violent, and white people know violence. They're really good at it.
Oh, we know.
White people are excellent at violence. And so the
Yes.
people who think
That is true.
that these white people are just going to just keep on taking it like a bunch of pussies,
Yeah, but
eventually they're not going to take it anymore.
yeah, but Robby,
And
who
that
do you think
terrifies me.
imposed that on the white population itself? It's your own white people.
It's our
your
own leaders.
white people,
and that's
your
the problem.
own white leadership.
Agreed.
Liberal leadership in liberal Western Europe, in liberal United States.
Agreed.
Those are the people that are in power, whether it's in the university system, all the way down to elementary schools, all the way down to Capitol Hill, down the road from me. It's white Western leadership that is basically putting a ball gag in their mouth to be like, spank me, I'm such a bad white person, kill all my people. Like
Agreed.
That's basically what's happening, and I find that very odd that white people don't have, it's like they're ashamed to be white.
Well, they are, because of World War II. I mean, it's that whole, it's
strange to me.
Well, I mean, that's how you're able to dox me and call me a Nazi whenever I bring up what I consider a valid concern. Wages are not keeping up with the cost of living.
Yeah.
So what are the contributing factors of that? One is the devaluation of money, because the government's creating inflation to pay for spending that they cannot otherwise have. And second, you are importing workers to drive down wages, while at the same time you are offshoring jobs to other countries where you're going to hollow out the middle class. That's a problem. That is not a racist thing to say. That is a verifiable demographic fact. There is a reason why Atlanta used to be, 20 years ago, was a majority black city. Now it's majority Hispanic. Why is that?
It really?
It's because look it up. It's because of immigration.
I thought it was still a black city. I didn't know that.
I mean, if it's a majority Hispanic, it's damn close to it. Now that's why Georgia is now a purple state. It used to be solidly red. The Democrats in last election, they were talking about how, and again, fact check me on this. You go to CNN, go to MSNBC. They talk about how immigration is changing the demographics of the state of Georgia, and that's why it's now a purple state. That's not me being a conspiracy theorist. That's me looking at what mainstream American media is saying. When people realize that in a representative form of government, which we supposedly have, when the government is no longer trying to win my vote by making a policy debate from one political party or the other, when you start trying to stack the deck through immigration, while you're starving the ability of me be able to feed my family, that creates rage and resentment. That's how you get real, honest to God radicalism. That's how you get real fucking Nazis.
Well, I agree, and that's why
the people in government do not understand.
And the person that was trying to rat you out, they're not going to make you any less angry. If anything, it's going to make you more angry and more ardent in your beliefs. And I don't know if you can pop these up.
Well, we had that this morning. I snapped at you by accident just because I'm pissed.
And I clapped right back. But if you can put up Adrian's comment, angry white men got Trump elected and Brexit. That's true.
Yeah.
And Nerd says, bring it up at the next National White People Convention. That's what I do at the National Black People's Convention.
Yeah, for sure. I think
so Geert and all the other Europeans, they need to have their own white people European convention and talk about their dying breed and how you can still maintain your own sovereignty in your own country and embrace your whiteness without saying we want to kill you brown people. That can be done. I promise you it's possible. I promise. You can say, I'm proud to be white. I don't hate you for being brown. I don't hate you for being yellow. I don't hate you for being black, but I'm proud of being white. But I want to maintain my, my established country that my forefathers were here for, 800 years or whatever, whoever they descended from. I don't know. But I don't know who did the Netherlands descend from? I know the Icelanders are Vikings. Who are the Dutch?
They're French and German.
Oh.
It's like it's wedged right there.
They have a
It's
weird
one.
language.
It's one of the low countries. So it's just kind of like right there,
Oh.
the corner between France and Germany, and to the North Sea is right there to the north
So they're
of
like
them.
a blend of those people, those
Yeah,
cultures.
yeah,
Oh,
pretty much. I
okay.
mean, kind of think of like Cajuns almost.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. I can see that. Okay. Yeah, because like I know, obviously I didn't know the Germans were 2,000 years old. I knew they were over 1,000, but like I know that like the Nordic people, like the Icelanders, are Viking. Like they are Viking
Yep.
people, and they descended on a handful of Inuit people that looked something like me, and some of them blended, but the vast majority didn't, and they kind of either slaughtered them or cohabitated on different parts of the island, and that was about it. But for the most part, Icelanders are Vikings. I never knew what the Dutch ethnically descended from. They just kind of appeared and had their own unique European language.
Yeah,
It was like their own thing.
No, but before we pull the plug on the show, I mean, really, what I'm concerned about, and I think this is what the people need to watch the voting trends. If people stop voting, that's where they're going to realize that the whole thing is a scam, and that's when the violence is going to start. Once people start realizing that there is no political solution to this, that's when the radicalization is going to start. And that is what scares the hell out of me, because the people on both sides who are calling for a civil war, they're both idiots. Because this isn't going to be like the Confederacy versus the Union. This would be like the French Reign of Terror. And this, but with Europe and America, with as much immigration as there is, civil wars almost always break down into ethnic and religious conflicts. And that scares the hell out of me more than anything else.
So we will look at Europe. Now that you bring up that point, we'll find out tomorrow or like by this weekend when all the numbers are in, what the last parliamentary elections look like number wise, like how many people turned out to vote versus this number, and going back in the trends, right? Like if the number of total votes cast are dwindling, then you're saying that's an indicator that people are getting more
because they're opting out.
Populist.
Well, yeah, because if you keep on electing leaders, right? This to your point, the point that you just made. If you keep electing people, and they keep governing it, and not only just in complete opposition to what is it you sent them in there to do, then at that point you're going to realize that the ruling class is not there for you. They're working for someone, but they're not working for you, whether it's for themselves or they're working for some lobby. They're working to enrich themselves at your expense. When people come to that conclusion and they come to realize that this facade of democracy that we have, all it is an illusion, that's when people get violent. That's when people get radical. That's what, and that is going to be the fault line. And when this happens, if it does dissolve down into a conflict based not on class, but on race, ethnicity, religion, and culture, that's when things get really, really nasty, really, really quick. That's when you get war to the knife, and that is my dread.
Well, we'll look at the polls and see what those numbers look like, and see across Europe. Actually, I've never considered that, like looking at their voting trends, like not just pure numbers of how many people turned out. I've never really paid attention to pure numbers of just the turnout. I don't care who you voted for, just turnout. I've never looked at turnout in Europe. I've looked at turnout in the US, obviously. I mean, it's my country, but I don't know about turnout anywhere else in Europe. And I wonder if we can see a trend, if it's fewer turning out and then populism sweeps that country, then your theory will prove out. So we'll see. And I just want to I want to answer Ray's question in the Rumble room. Ray asked, Manila, what happened to Compton? So Compton, you all may have seen, and we'll go after this, but you all probably knew in the 90s and the early 2000s, there were all these movies about like Inglewood and Compton and whatever from South Central LA, right? This is further west of where Staples Center is, slightly west. So that's like Compton and Inglewood. And you know, all the rap gangs, rap battles came out of there. And so everyone knows of Compton as a violent black community. So it ain't that anymore. Compton, Inglewood, the surrounding smaller subdivisions, Ray, that area, that Los Angeles is no more. It's not like that. And going further back, it's actually a swing back towards what it was in the 1950s.
What is it
Compton, now? It's gentrified. So I'll tell you, in the 1950s, Compton used to be a very white neighborhood, a white suburban neighborhood outside of downtown Los Angeles, where the big buildings are and factories and whatever, right? And people used to work there. So the families that have been in Compton were the families that basically established downtown Los Angeles as a factory hub. So those are the 1920s and 30s, 40s, and 50s. Those families lived in Compton because it was very close to get to downtown LA. Those were white working class families that have been there for 2 generations, at least, if not more, but 2 at least. And back then there was redlining. So when more Black Americans moved west towards California, like in the 50s and 60s, there was redlining. So you couldn't get a home loan in most places in Los Angeles. Compton, for whatever reason, I couldn't tell you if it was like, this is a real estate inside knowledge, inside baseball. I couldn't tell you if they had a conference and they met, but all the bankers that did home loans somehow decided on that pocket of Compton to be the only area they would start approving homes for Black people to buy, approving the loans for. So little by little from the 1950s onwards, Black families were kind of by way of redlining. That's kind of how Compton became a Black city. And so little by little, the white folks started moving out because they're like, oh, there goes the neighborhood. Black family just moved in. Black family just bought a house. I got to move out. So little by little, the Great White Flight.
So I have a question for you. So when this happened and the Black families started coming in, did crime go up?
Not in the early days. It wasn't until the 1970s and like you saw like the Black Panther movement and all that stuff sweep across America. That's when the crime started going up. By the time we got to the 80s, Compton was like literally a cracked out neighborhood.
Gotcha. So the working class Blacks will start going in. They start getting the houses. When they start dying off, right. They were replaced by.
They start dying off. Their kids stayed. So the original Black families that were, you know, like the people named Michael and Donna and whatever, because everybody was named Michael and Donna in the 1950s. I don't care what color you were. You know, all those families moved in. They got approved for those homes. The Great White Flight happened in the 50s and 60s because of, you know, obviously there are still some weird feelings about Blacks and whites living in the same neighborhood. So the Great White Flight happened. So more homes became available. More homes got approved. More home loans got approved for Compton, Inglewood area, and it began growing. Other Black families that moved west for work and the great weather. These are all married Christian Black families. They moved there. So after one generation, by the time their kids, right, are young adults in the 1970s, and we saw the advent of, you know, like the rise of Black Panther movement or whatever in that generation, that's where things kind of all went to hell in Compton. So, and then by the 80s, it was all cracked out. Then it was all gangs by the 90s. And now it's come full circle, not in race, but in gentrification in Compton. Now you cannot get a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath ranch home in the Compton area for no less than a number that starts with a 7 in Compton.
So is the rich white people moving back in there now?
It's not specifically white. It's just probably white and Latino, multi-generation American Latino, moving there. So, but those black families have now moved out, and that's why the movie, the second Friday movie with Ice Cube came out, because they moved to the Inland Empire. That's the joke. that's people don't get that unless you're from Los Angeles, and it's hilarious to us because we know. Then you've got the new black flight. They've left the Compton. They've left the South Central area, and they started moving to the Inland Empire in the 2000s. So that's why that joke is funny in the second Friday movie. A lot of people don't know that. So Ray, thank you for bringing some levity in that random question about like neighborhoods and how it's changing. Compton is now Black and Latino, and that started happening in the 2000s. And so you would see Latino gangs and Black gangs, whether you're a Crip or a Blood or whatever, but you would see Black and Latinos fighting a lot in the early 2000s. But forget it. It doesn't matter anymore.
So you grew up there. So you grew up there.
They all made money on housing.
So I have a question for you, because you grew up there. What was the genesis of the gang phenomenon? Was it because fathers were in the homes, so young men just started to flock together?
Everything. Think about the crime bill. Think about the influx of drugs into Los Angeles in the 80s. Think of just all of those, the culmination, the destruction of the Black Christian family, the whole, and this is a Democrat-led movement about, like for women broadly, but we saw in the 70s under Gerald Ford, even though he was Republican, was actually the one that began to screw families and basically inadvertently empowered women to say they don't need their husbands because the state got you. The state will take care of you, baby mama. That's Gerald Ford inadvertently did that, and then created a debtor's prison for husbands or dads that were not there. So that's basically a culmination of things all in the 1970s, and then you get to the drug epidemic in the 80s. And gotcha. So that's what happened to the at least the Black community in Los Angeles. That's in a nutshell. I'm leaving out tons and tons and tons of nuance, obviously, but in a nutshell, that's what happened in Los Angeles, by way of what happened in Washington with Gerald Ford, and basically you allowed for women to feel like, I don't need no man, and that's so you start that the women start getting empowered.
Feminism.
The feminism stuff started happening. Then Black families used to be the most conservative. Black families used to be, and there's record of this in Los Angeles. Black families were strict Christian, like they will beat your ass. They'll beat your ass in that family. Black Christian conservative families, maybe not voting wise, but the way they lived. Because I know those families. I know them. They always vote Democrat. But as values go, I mean, church, like old Black ladies feeding me fried catfish and collard greens. Oh God, where do you think I learned to love that food? But that's how I went, well, gee, how do you go from grandma being like this to the neighborhood looking like that? Like, what happened? This is the early 2000s. So then I became a realtor, and I kind of looked into the social devolvement. And that's kind of what happened. And that's all in a nutshell. But now that doesn't even exist. So the hood in Los Angeles doesn't exist anymore. It's all been gentrified. They got that new SoFi Stadium out there. That's where the Rams play football.
So where are the people at now? I mean, they had
the Black families that bought their homes in the 50s and 60s there. That's like the joke, like the movie Friday. The second one, they moved out to the Inland Empire, or I don't know where else, honestly. But a big influx into the Inland Empire. They made money from the real estate bubble, and they moved.
No, but I mean, but
by
the people who are
2008.
no, but like the people who are living there in the hood where you grew up, like where are they at now? Like, did they move to another neighborhood? I mean,
I don't know.
are they?
I grew up in a Mexican hood. I grew up around Mexican gangs. I don't know if they're still there. Most of my neighbors I grew up with are still there. They're just not gangbanging anymore. I couldn't tell you why or how, whatever. I don't know. They're just not gangbanging anymore. And of course, the ones that are my age, they're old heads, so they're not. But for whatever reason, the younger, like, gangbanging is not as popular as it was in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. Like, it's not a thing anymore. Now people are trying to floss and trying to, like, be like, look at me, look at the car I drive, look at what I have. So gangbanging, as it turned out, was not as fruitful for your wallet, and doesn't look as cool on social media. Those people still exist, believe me. I still know some, but I'm from a black gang neighborhood. A Mexican gang neighborhood, not the black gangs. Those are just me venturing out to Crenshaw and, dipping the Shaw and cruising on the weekends. So but I don't know where the black families are now. The Latino families that I knew have been there for LA happened to them. In other words, their families have been there in California for hundreds of years. So the Mexican American families I know, California came to them. They were already there. So
Right. Well, that makes sense. But the
black families, yeah, they came west and they got redlined into a certain area, but they started the first wave of the black flight happened in the early 2000s, leading up to the 2008 housing bubble crisis. The first wave of black families left when they made money from that because their housing was starting to go up. Not the way we're seeing it now, but they got a good sum of money in what we would consider back then in the early 2000s, and they picked up and moved to the Inland Empire. But now, fast forward to the 20 teens, when SoFi Stadium was talking about being built in the 20 teens, I personally know black families that, man, depending on the proximity to the land, the homes that are where SoFi sit today, those families made millions. And I don't know where the hell they went.
Probably
but I know
Montana.
families. I have no idea where those black families went. I just know, like, because I'm friends with a lot of, like, the children who are now, husbands and mothers, and they're all married and scattered around Los Angeles. But I know that their families sold for a lot of money. So they're just kind of scattered around Los Angeles. But that region of Compton, Inglewood, South Central, all gentrified. Like, you can find maybe one block here and there that's going to be sketchy. But for the most part, it's not what you saw in the movies from, like, the 90s and early 2000s. That's all gone.
Gotcha.
So, for better or worse, I don't know. That's up to you to decide. But for better or worse, that is not Los Angeles anymore. So, yeah, that's that. Anyway, we'll leave that there. I hope that was a thorough answer to the question. Oh, look, Nerd has a comment for you. Nerd says, it's the same all around the U.S. In Georgia, black families moved out to the suburbs, and now you have that crime in nice areas because the kids are still acting out even though their parents escaped the hood.
I believe it.
That is 100% spot on. That's what I've experienced. That's what I've seen. That's what I've lived through. And that's what I'm still witnessing at home. So,
but to say, you're seeing it right now where you live. Like, you're seeing all these gangbangers just going around just tearing everything up. If y'all start stacking bodies, you fix that problem,
Only if they enter my home.
No, I mean,
this is my castle.
Just the people there corporately, like live in Alexandria County there in Virginia. If the people have just, wherever, if they decide that y'all are just tired of the crap and just start shooting them, you solve that problem. It's open season. Get a license. Have at it.
We have Virginia is still open carry. Oh, and by the way, we have our elections coming up for governor. I just want to point this out since we're talking about black families, black folks, and
Is
Jamaica.
Winston going to win? Is Winston going to win?
Winsome Sears is currently the lieutenant governor. She is the first black woman to hold a statewide office in Virginia, home of General Lee, right? The first black woman to hold a statewide office. She is running for governor against Abby Spanberger, who was a member of Congress, I think, for 1 or 2 terms. I don't know. But
and a CIA officer.
She's a spook. On good terms, not a John Kiriakou kind of a spook. But she's a white liberal Democrat spook running against a black conservative Marine Jamaican immigrant.
Is she Jewish? Has that come up?
I don't know. I don't know if she is.
Because
no idea.
Because then she can punch that minority card. Because then you can call her white.
She is white.
Well, look at Israel. Most of them are white too, but they ain't white.
Well, they're white to me.
They're white to me too, but I'm just saying. But no, I
look at them and I see white, so I don't know.
Same here. But I'm gonna continue.
My super hot Zionist friend. She's from Israel. I see a white woman. I don't care that she's actually Israeli by place of birth. I look at her and I see a white person. Didn't she serve in the
IDF?
She was IDF. Yeah, she was IDF.
She should be deported.
They're all IDF. They're all IDF. If you're born and raised in Israel, you have to be IDF. She didn't have a choice, but I think she probably would have wanted to anyway. But anyway, that's not my point. I don't know if Abby Spanberger is a Jewish lady or not. No idea. So just found out yesterday, Winsome Earl Sears is her name, the lieutenant governor. This black Jamaican immigrant, Christian conservative. Okay. She's a former U.S. Marine. She's kind of a badass lady, if you ask me. Gun-toting. She loves that Virginia is an open carry state. She wants to make sure it stays that way. She wants to, in fact, make it easier for us to be able to conceal carry. Which, I'm a fan of. Yeah. I'm good with that. The NCAA CP. What?
NAACP?
Yes. I got this all wrong. Thank you. NAACP. I feel like I'm saying this wrong for some reason. But anyway. Robby, they're a black leadership organization. Who do you suppose they came out to support yesterday?
Oh, the white, maybe Jewish lady.
Yeah.
Isn't she heading the polls? And the dude who's running for y'all's attorney general. I mean, the fact that he was on a text message exchange about how he wanted to kill his political opponent, his wife, and his kids.
Oh, he said that about his wife, and I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I mean, I wasn't going to be voting for that twerp anyway. But
he said he wanted to take out the entire family.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't know he was that creepy. I know the things that he says was weird. I didn't know he talked about killing his own wife and kid. That's fucking weird. Okay.
Well, not.
I wasn't going to vote for him anyway.
He wanted to kill his Republican counterpart's wife and kids.
The opponent. Well, that's fucking weird too.
Yeah, but they're white though, so it doesn't matter. Just kill them.
It's fucking weird. So yeah, I wasn't going to vote for him anyway. I was going to vote for Miyares anyway because he opposes my local DA, and I hate my local DA. And I've gotten many Twitter spats with the DA and his little goons. My local DA, because I've called him out on a lot of shit. Because of the crime, but whatever, he keeps letting rapists out on the street and whatever. And Miyares has now gotten in anyway. And Miyares is a Latino. That's the current state AG is a Latino, Jason Miyares. But anyway, back to the governor's race. An organization that is supposed to be pro Black Advancement
Mm-hmm.
came out to support the white CIA lady.
Yeah, I can see it.
What the hell?
Virginia is so cucked. I mean, if y'all
what the hell?
if y'all would just adopt the Robby strategy, you could turn Virginia red overnight, because the people who vote the majority Democrat there in Virginia is because of the new arrivals, the immigrants. The demographics is destiny, especially in a representative government. So go Team Robby, deport them, and you can have your and then you can have your black governor.
This was hilarious to me. Yes, like not only as Winsome Sears would she be the first female in any case, one of these women is going to be governor. It's going to be the first female governor of this state. But if Winsome Sears wins, I mean, it'll be like a double. You would think for people, like in Northern Virginia that care about checking off these like woke card points, right? Winsome Sears is first and foremost Black. She's a biological female. Maybe it would help her if she was a trans, but she's not. Anyway, she's a biological female. Right. She's Black. She's a biological female. She's an immigrant. And she's a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
She's a Marine veteran. So you have all of these firsts in Virginia, and you would think all the liberals who care about ticking off all the little boxes about being how woke they are and virtue signally they are, that they would vote like, hey, wow, let's break barriers. Let's vote for Winsome. Let's break barriers.
Well, you know why they don't, right?
But they're not, because they're going to fall in line because the spook wears a blue jersey.
Well, the thing is, on X, they're calling Winsome Sears, they call her an Oreo.
I knew
She's
they would.
Black on the outside, well on the inside.
I knew they would.
And it's just like what Nerd just said. Skin folk ain't always kinfolk. And you're 100% right. And like the person who doxed me, I can 99% guarantee it was some white person that did it. Trying to white knight.
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure you got doxed by a white lady. I'm willing to bet it's a white lady.
Probably.
I think it's a white lady. But anyway, so that's what's happening in the race here, and soon to be redistricted. Anyway, this is so no matter where I go, I feel like I can't get away from the woke. Like, please don't bring more woke here. Like this is like, I'm just not Spanberger. Like I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm voting for the gun-toting black lady.
I hope she wins.
I am. I'm voting for the gun-toting black lady. Just if I knew nothing else, let's presume I knew nothing else. The fact that she's a badass Marine combat veteran, like, I'm voting for her. That's kind of badass. Just on that alone. Just that alone. Enough for me. I think you're a badass.
I'd vote for that.
So
I'm as anti-immigrant as they come, and I'd vote for her if I lived there.
Then you put her up against Abigail Spanberger. Not only is she an entrenched Democrat, so that I already hate. Then she's also a CIA spook. Like, that I already hate. Then, like, and again, it's not like a slight on like John Kiriakou. They hate, the spooks hate John. They're actively, constantly trying to ruin John's life, right? Like, still to this day, prison time wasn't enough. I am not a proponent of the CIA. So that on its face, I would not vote for Abby Spanberger. On its face. That's all. So that's my choice. So I'm going to vote for the black lady. Not the white lady.
Yeah. It is what it is.
I'm going to vote for a black lady and a Latino man. How about that?
Works for me.
Oh, and you know who's running for lieutenant governor? Who's actually, I think, leading in the race?
Who?
Oh, what is his name? John. We had him on the show. The guy that was leaving the radio show and he's running.
Oh, the gay Republican dude.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Is he winning?
I don't know if he's even got someone running against him. I just find it amusing that we had him on the TMI show and he announced his candidacy here.
Yep.
His intent. I don't know if he officially at that point, but he announced his intent to run on the TMI show last year. So
yeah, we need to get him back on.
He's probably not going to do it now that he's like in the throes of the election, but
no, I mean after the election's over.
If he wins, I don't know that we get him back. But
hey, listen, he owes us. We got him elected if he wins.
How weird is this ticket, Robby? The Republican ticket in Virginia.
Yeah, a gay white dude,
black immigrant lady, gay Republican married to a black dude, and a Latino AG.
Yeah, isn't Winsome Sears? Isn't she married to a white guy?
That I don't know.
I think she is. I want to say she is. I could be wrong.
That I don't know. I don't know about Miara's wife. But so if you look at the Republican ticket in Virginia, if you're talking about freaking diversity, if you want to do the woke ticket points, the Republican ticket marks all the boxes in crazy diversity. You look at the Democrat boxes, you look at the Democrat ticket, like Abby Spanberger, we're talking about like people on that side that are entrenched in government, regular, straight, white, or black, or whatever you are. Just like very, what do they call it? Like cis and whatever. That's the Democrat ticket. Isn't that weird when the Democrats are the ones that are saying, well, we need all the diversity. We need you to be gay. We need you to be trans. We need you to be. But if you look at the Democrat ticket in Virginia, everybody is like cookie cutter, cisgender, whatever. Right? It's the opposite is my point. I find that ironic and amusing.
No, I do too.
That's all. It's just very strange. The Republican and Democrat tickets in Virginia are. I live in bizarro world in Virginia. That's all I got to say. So I think it's hilarious. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Thank you for filling in, Robby. Feel better. I hope. Please don't get in more trouble. I really don't want you to lose your job.
Well, the thing is, I have no idea when I will be back on the show because work from home is nuked.
Gone. Is abolished.
Yeah, it's done. I'm chained to a cubicle, and I don't know how long that's going to last. Or, I mean, it really sucks. I would love nothing more than to go into the office on tomorrow or Friday and tell her to please eat a bag of dicks. I will see you in the next life. But I just can't do that right now. Now, if it happens to me, no, it is what it is. I'll figure it out. But yeah, no, it's bad.
All right. Well, so Ted and I will be back tomorrow. We'll figure it out. And we're gonna figure it out day by day about how to do what. And Robby will still be a part of the show, but he won't be live with the show. That's basically the best way to put it, right? Yeah, he's just not going to be live with us, but once in a blue moon until we figure it out.
Yep, we'll make it work.
So he is still a part of the show. In case this show and deprogram, he just won't be live on air with us anymore. So until I don't know. We'll see. So go support his channel. Go subscribe. Putinbot Gaming and all the subsidiaries. So you post links on that, Robby. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. Happy hump day. That makes people happy, humping.
It does. Humping is fun. Thank you, nerd. I appreciate it.
Adios, everybody. Have a good Wednesday. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.